Hi, I'm Captain Larry Bell with Texas Fishing Tips. This is your weekly fishing report. Sundown Bay, all the back shoreline, all this area down here through this area. You'll see crab traps that are out in the middle, which is a good sign. Whenever you see those crab traps that are set out somewhere, that's always good because they're baiting those things out daily. And usually it's either with some menhaden, something type of meat that's going to put off a scent, therefore attracting not only their crab, but it's also going to attract game fish into that because of that scent. And that crab also brings in redfish, and there's a bunch of redfish that are cruising up and down this shoreline coming out of these back lakes, all in here. Again, we're still feeling a little bit of remnant water from the tropical storm that passed us by, and all this water level is still kind of pushed up. And we're right here going to be in and around the full moon, maybe on the back side of it here in a few days. But the one thing that you're going to want to do is downsize that bait during that time frame. Your early morning bites and your late evening bites will be your best opportunities. You can still find them during the middle of the day, but it's going to be tough. It's been hot, and it's continuing to be hot, and the water temperatures are still pretty warm, so these fish are going to dump off into deeper water as it begins to as that water temp begins to rise up and it gets hotter during the process of the day. So those are going to be your target areas if you're going to fish that time frame. But early on and late evenings, get up here on this back shoreline of the grass where these mouths are dumping out into the sundown here. Look for your bait working up and down here. The two baits that's been really good has been the burner shad, chicken of the sea. The white ice has been good, but you have to just check what your water clarity is. But for the most part, the water color has been really good to throw the white ice. But chicken of the sea has been good. Purple rain's been really good. All of that in the burner shad. Look for your bait working up and down these. If you can get in front of those mouths, there's good patches of shell that are in and around those, and you'll find some nice redfish that are cruising up and down these shorelines. Right here in Ayers Dugout, all along this shell area, right through here, the little cut through this back shoreline, all the way down through in here, there's some nice trout, nice redfish that are cruising and working all up and down these shorelines. Bunch of bait working in and out of here. One thing you have to be aware of, again, the water levels are up. They're up early. Some of them are dropping out. Again, we've got this big moon that's in place, and it's going to be on the back side of it. So that water's going to be sucking out of here. So make sure you pay attention to when those majors and minors are and when your high and low tides are, because it makes a difference in these areas. Some of these areas work better with the high tide. Some of them work better with the low tide. It's just something you'll have to figure out as you continue on fishing up in these areas. Another thing to be aware of right here on this little back lake mouth area, if you fish up in Mesquite, you already know about this. If you don't, you just fish it ever so often. There's usually an alligator that likes to hang out right there on that corner. So if you're going to fish that area, just make sure you, before you jump out of the boat, you just take a good look around and see if his little beady eyes are hanging out looking around at you. But continue to work this shoreline. You can walk across to these back lakes. It's real easy to get to. There's been some redfish that have been in and out of these areas as well. Look for those things. Topwater baits in those back lakes have been really good. A lot of grass in there, so you may want to go to a single hook. If you can't, that's okay. The Spook Juniors have been really good working. It doesn't matter what color, as long as it's got a white or silver belly on it, because that's most of your bait fish are that way. Continue to work up and down these areas here. Look for all that kind of stuff right there. Good structure. Grass. There's a nice amount of grass that's starting to come back in these areas as well. There's lots of areas up there in Mesquite. The grass is starting to really come back, which is going to pay dividends, especially as we head into the winter months and fall. Find your bait. There's some good trout that are hanging off some of these shell bars that are out here on this little bit deeper water. Redfish have been pretty close to the shorelines there, so those would be your target areas to look for those fish at that time. Over here on Cedar Dugout, all this shell up in here. Get your boat up there close to the shoreline. If you're fortunate enough to locate some redfish that are up in that area, which there have been, work them. Work all that area up there. Again, there's a ton of shell that's in here. Topwater bait's been really good up in this area around the shell bar, inside and outside. Make sure you got the proper shoes on to work all that area, because it is pretty tough to walk through that if you don't. But anyway, look for your bait. There's been a bunch of bait that's been working all up in this Cedar Dugout area all the way around. Been a few black drum, not on topwater, but on the Little Johns. The Little John watermelon red specifically. I've caught those black drum on that particular color. It's few and far between, but yes, you can catch them ever so often. They'll eat it, and you're not just hanging one, but they'll actually eat it. Continue to work all around here, work the little islands that are almost disappeared out front. Usually got a bunch of pelicans that are all over the top of it, but they'll disappear. You got some nice grass and shell that's around that. Your down south regular model, that medium sized bait that they have, is really good. The magic grass, I don't think you can get it with just a regular pure, but it has a chartreuse tail on it. If you want to dip that and go to that much trouble, do it. It's worked good. It's, black garlic flavor has been really good. The watermelon red has been really good. Purple rain has been good. The water clarity for this. They also the white ice or the bone diamond, all in the regular size, all around those little islands up in there. Get out of your boat, work that area really good. There's been a nice bait there. There's been some good trout that are being caught out of that area. There's also those, again, the redfish are cruising in and out of that shell area. If you can locate, get on them and stay on them, because there's some nice redfish that are hanging all up in this area. The backside here on Copano, this whole back west shoreline. Work down that. Specifically, you get down to a point, you'll see 5 or 6 big posts that are up there on the shoreline, just up from Turtle Pen. Get that area there. You'll start to see where the grass, all that area there's got some good grass that's growing on it. And you got some nice, good bottom that's in there. The bait has been really good in there. Trout have been pretty good. There've been some nice box trout that are in there. And again, if you don't need them, don't keep them. Keep only what you need and chunk the rest of them back. Haven't located any redfish on this back shoreline, at least not in a good number. There's been some scattered redfish on it, even some scattered black drum from time to time. Even pulled a flounder out of there, which really surprised me, but it happened. But the trout, all this back area here has been pretty good to work all this. The down souths, and again in the regular model, and the burner shad. Burner shad's been the best back in this area here. Chicken of the sea, purple rain, Texas roach has been good, because that water gets a little bit more beat up on this west shoreline, especially when you have that southeast breeze that's kicking across there. It dirties it up pretty good, so you want a nice dark color to really show that contrast inside there. So again, make sure that you find your bait. Look at your majors and minors and what's going on with it. Check your windages here, because if it gets too rough on this shoreline's almost impossible to fish effectively. But yeah, pay attention to that, because we've had some weather-wise, outside of the tropical storm that passed us by last week, it's been pretty good weather-wise. So take advantage of that. If you get on this back shoreline here, work all this area up and down here, and you'll find some quality fish. Thanks for watching. I'm Captain Larry Bell.